Good evening, and thank you for joining us for tonight's episode of Reboot Represents. I'm your host, Terry Turpin, and with me and making behind-the-scenes magic in the studio is producer Kevin Tanner. Before we begin tonight's show, I want to take a moment to acknowledge that wherever you're joining us from, you are on Indigenous land. This show itself is being broadcast on the historic and contemporary lands of the Duwamish, Suquamish, and all Coast Salish people. We acknowledge the forced displacement of Native communities from this land while honoring the endurance of the Duwamish people, who still live here. To this day, the Duwamish people have yet to receive federal recognition. We encourage you to visit the Duwamish Longhouse and Cultural Center in West Seattle to learn more. You can discover more information at duwamishtribe.org. I'd also like to take this moment to state unequivocally that Black Lives Matter. For tonight's show, we're doing things a little differently. In anticipation of our upcoming show, Test Kitchen 2.0, we've invited several creators of the submitted pieces to talk with me and about their show. We'll hear what inspired them, what they're looking forward to learning about their work, and what they hope you as a viewer will take away from the piece after you viewed it. Our guests will be joining us throughout the evening. Of course, you will have a chance to ask a question or two along the way during each guest segment. This is meant to be interactive, so please feel free to submit your question through the platform of your choice, whether that's Facebook or YouTube. I can't guarantee I will get to every question, but I will most certainly do my best. Speaking of platforms, be sure to hit like on Facebook and subscribe on YouTube. You can also watch previous episodes of Reboot Represents on both of these channels. Before we begin, I'd love to take this opportunity to plug Test Kitchen 2.0. This is a 2-night event on October 12th and then October 26th, with all new original works being presented in the early stages of their development, some for the first time ever. This is a free event that will be streamed via our Facebook and YouTube channels. While there is a suggested donation of $10, Reboot believes art should be accessible and have made the decision to create and offer this programming at no cost. If you do wish to donate or to find out more information, please visit our website at reboottheater.org or check us out on Facebook or Instagram. And finally, the last piece of housekeeping before we get to our show. Reboot Theater Company is proud to celebrate our fifth-ish, that's right, fifth-ish season entitled Transforming Theater Together. And to celebrate, we've released a gorgeous t-shirt available now for purchase. The t-shirt features our gorgeous new logo highlighting all the things we've come to love about our work here at Reboot, as well as the messaging, representation matters. The shirt itself is incredibly comfortable, lightweight, and is available on sale now for the next 22 days. You can visit reboottheater.org/swag and order yours today. Shirts cost $30 plus tax and shipping, and all proceeds go to help support Reboot Theater and producing programming such as tonight's Reboot Represents and our test kitchens. Again, that's reboottheater.org/swag. You can see it in the link there. The internet monkeys are standing by. And now for our show. Before we speak with the creators of the pieces for Reboot's Test Kitchen 2.0, we're going to chat with Jasmine Joshua, artistic director of Reboot Theater. Jasmine is a transmasculine Seattle actor, writer, director, and producer, and along with the artistic committee, has curated Reboot's Test Kitchen. We'll talk about what that process looked like, how it started, and of course, take your questions. Please welcome to the show, Jasmine Joshua. Hello, Jasmine.
Hello, friends. How are you?
Hi, it's so good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
This is your 554th performance on Reboot Represents. So I think you get I don't know, a golden spoon or something like that. I think that's what we can afford.
Love a golden spoon.
Me too. Do you know people who are spoon collectors? Was that ever in your world?
No, one of my grandmothers collected nativity sets, which I don't think is the same.
Not really. Unless the baby Jesus is being spoon fed some myrrh. I don't know what. That's not how that works.
You're asking the wrong Jew.
But no spoons, nativity sets, huh?
Yeah, I don't know, nativity sets. Funny story. My Uncle Ray. There were 9 kids on that side of the family. And my Uncle Ray was the youngest one and caused a lot of mischief. He was particularly known for desecrating my grandmother's nativity sets.
Oh,
hanging sheep from the rafters.
Oh no!
And, replacing baby Jesus with inappropriate things.
It's like a zombie nativity scene.
The best prank, it had nothing to do with the nativity set, but I think it'll just be funny to say, was so. My mom would come home after rehearsal. So, would be home late at night. And of course, go to the fridge to get that post-rehearsal snack, and would open the fridge and there would be a completely naked Ken doll, spread eagle with a hot dog attached to his crotch. And my mom knew that my immensely religious grandmother, that's who it was meant for. but my mom at like 2 a.m. would be like, bah! And
Oh
then
my
would take it
gosh.
down so that my grandmother wouldn't have a heart attack.
That is
In
amazing.
her 80s, she did fine. And my Uncle Ray owns, I think, 2 boa constrictors, several birds, and works in a mental health hospital.
All right. There you go. That was a great story.
Everyone waiting in the wings is like,
What are they talking about? Well, speaking of random and new stories, this is my weird awkward segue into what we're here to talk about tonight. No, it's all great. It's all great. We are here to talk about Test Kitchen 2.0. Yay! For those of you who are just joining us, and if anything that any of our guests say tonight, you have a question, feel free to put it into the channel, and I will get to them if we can. But Jasmine, we're going to go ahead and chat a little bit about the Test Kitchen. So, tell me and tell our viewers what is the Test Kitchen? How did that come about?
So, I am a writer, and nativity spoons. All right, I look at the chat, or that's all I'll do. Okay, wait, I have to move that. Okay, so I'm a writer, and I'm an artist, and everyone is kind of suffering right now. I mean, we've all been, since quarantine, with projects canceled and delayed. And especially for people who are creators, like I personally have just had such a hard time making art. Like, not even to mention the fact that my kids can't go to school, and they couldn't even go to a playground. They still can't go to a playground here tomorrow. They might be opening them, but who wants to trust that? I don't know. So in any case, I wanted to create, and Reboot, obviously, we couldn't do our production of Cabaret, and we were like, God, what can we do to still support our community and be in touch with our artists in a way that is low key and low pressure? And so we decided to revamp Test Kitchen. We did it 2 years ago, and it was basically just a call out for anything you're working on. And we wanted specifically for it to be original works, as opposed to a karaoke party, which is great in its own right. But we wanted to encourage people to make something. And it doesn't have to be, as the old adage goes, it doesn't have to be right. It just has to be written, so just get something down and to come basically to Reboot, where we can take care of you and test it out. Essentially.
That's great. So Reboot Test Kitchen has been around. There was an iteration before. This is 2.0. And it sounds as though that COVID was really the driver and the ability. Hi, Mike. It was, we have a special guest star with Mike here. Thanks for joining us.
This is my
office. But it sounds as though the idea to revive Test Kitchen now was really sparked from COVID and what was going on there. What was the first Test Kitchen like? And, how is it different from this version?
I don't know that it is that much different. I mean, to be honest, in a lot of ways, it's a lot easier. And in a lot of ways, it's a lot wackier. So the original one, I think we only had 3, maybe we had 4 pieces. And they were all original works. One of them was mine. Sarah Nine did selections from her album. Brendan Mack did this Wizard of Oz projector experience extravaganza. And I think that we also had some drag in there because why not? But yeah, that was the first time around. And we basically kind of just let everyone do whatever they wanted. And this is basically no different, except that this time around, I believe we have 13 different pieces.
Wow.
So what's amazing about that is, one, we're doing it over 2 different nights. So one will be next Monday, the 12th. And then the next show will be the 26th. You should go on Facebook and find Test Kitchen. We have both of those events up. You can see our lineup. But yeah, we had so many that we basically, right there.
There it is.
So many that I have to sit up a little taller.
Our banners are impressive. That is true.
My hump. Yeah, so we had to spread it out over 2 different nights, which is so exciting. And I was so, I mean, frankly relieved, because there was a part of me that's like, oh my God, everyone is so sick of these like COVID shows. No one's going to submit. I'm gonna have to make something up. The board is gonna have to all have pseudonyms so that we just like have something to present. And we were flooded. It was incredible and so heartening to know, like, hey, like these creators are out there, these artists are out there, and they're still, we want to keep our engines rubbing, rubbing, which is like rubbing and revving, which is the best way for a writer to be. So in any case, like, yeah, I don't know. So yeah, this time around we have more people. I mean, what's great about that is that like we can have 13 shows going on at once, and we don't have to like provide,
rehearsal space. Yes, exactly.
Right? Rehearsal space to figure out like, oh my God, like, is there enough room? It's like, yes, it's the internet. There's plenty of room.
That is so how did you curate the pieces? You said that you got an overwhelming number of pieces that came in.
Yeah.
Was it just an opportunity for you to like, did you go through and hand select them? Did you give it all to everybody? How did you come up with the pieces that are going to be performed over these 2 nights?
Basically, we did our best to make sure that everyone who submitted got in, and a couple people who submitted, they were great ideas, but they were, I don't even know how to say it. They weren't good for this format.
Okay.
So like we were like, oh God, that's such a great idea. Like, let's put that on hold. So like you might be seeing more of them later, and I won't give it away. But we found some other stuff. We had some other pieces that were really good, but I was like, for like a test kitchen, which is like a taste. When you test something, like you're just giving a taste of something.
Sure.
So we some of them, the ideas were like a little more involved, and we weren't sure if we didn't want to give them short shrift and be like, you have 10 minutes to do this like incredible thing that you've like fully done. Whereas like some of the pieces here like are really just like, I don't know, like I just have some of the ideas that we got were just pitches. Nothing was written yet. They were just like, I have this great idea, and I'm like, great, write it. You've got a couple of weeks, go. Some other pieces, and you'll talk to them tonight, were like developed over like the course of several months. I think one of them even over the course of a year. So like, wow. It is a more established piece, but like it's a 2 or a 3-hander. And like, that's something that like on Zoom, we could kind of present in a way that helped the writer really get a sense of what it was, which is ultimately the goal, is to really, is to help the writers see a little something of what it could be, so that in their next iteration, they have something they're like, oh, when I heard that read aloud for the first time, this worked, that worked. I hate all of it. I love all of it. I'm going to expand that. I'm going to cut that. So, yeah.
That's great. So it's a virtual opportunity to basically have a reading and workshop the piece while utilizing actors and things like that. Speaking of actors, how many artists with producers and stage managers and directors and actors and writers, how many people are involved in Test Kitchen?
Over 40.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is the biggest production I think that Reboot has had. I mean, 1776 might have rivaled that, but I think that's pretty close. That might be the biggest thing that we've done here.
I think actually it's bigger than 1776, because a lot of the people who were in the show also did other things in it.
Right. Painting sets and sewing costumes and mimeographing or whatever they're doing. I don't know if they mimeograph anymore.
I mean, this was May. I think, well, I guess Kayla wasn't in it. So like Kayla was one of them. But in any case, like, yeah, like, yeah, I think this is probably the biggest show that we've ever done, which is super exciting. I mean, I can't believe that it's here and now, but in other cases, it makes the most sense. Because again, like, we have to think about the boring things, like we need a theater to hold 40 artists on stage. We need to be able to like have a stage that makes sense for that. We need to be able to like put something together physically for each of these 13 pieces. So in a way, like, it's kind of great because we can do something that we weren't able really to do. And in another way, oh my God, I have 40 people to wrangle over the internet. Thank God everyone has been so communicative. Everyone's so excited. It's actually really easy. I'm just overwhelmed because I'm not like used to talking to people, which is probably why I told you about the hot dog and the Ken doll story.
It was a good story. It really was, and it might be the leading thing that we send out when we boost this post is Jasmine shares, Ken doll hot dog crotch story, lurid details of this is why Barbie left. Anyway, so with those 40 people, I know that this is are they all being compensated?
Yes. This was so important to us. We really wanted to give all of our artists a little something, and we don't have much, but what we have, we give to you. But it was important to us because, again, the entertainment industry and the food service industry, which both heavily impact artists, have been entirely decimated, and we don't know when they're coming back. So we wanted to give everyone a little bit of financial encouragement because it's just the right thing to do.
That's great. And I think during the show itself, there will be opportunities for people to be able to donate directly to the artists. You can donate to Reboot, of course, and we always welcome that. But I believe that there will be an opportunity with their Venmos and things like that for them to be able to donate to. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's not only are you able to watch the show and enjoy it, but if you like a particular artist, you can send them some love via Venmo or Cash App or whatever that might be. And that'll show up in the banners down below. And I believe the format that we'll be using will be StreamYard, which will be this same format. So you'll be able to see all those fun little banners and things pop up. Jasmine, before we go, we will open it up to questions if anybody has any questions for Jasmine about the curation process or Test Kitchen itself. But where can we find information about Reboot? And not Reboot, but specifically about the Test Kitchen.
Yes. You can go to our website, www.reboottheater.org, right there. And there will be information about the Test Kitchen there. You can also go on Facebook. And if you follow us on Facebook, we have each night has its own event. And you can check us out there and get more details about the different artists and who's performing and what shows there are. I mean, I will tell you, you're going to meet so many, but like the ones that aren't on here. I know like the queen of Halloween, Colleen Conway Blanchard, has written a series of like really spooky kind of like monster monologues. That's going to be amazing. There's so much queer content. I'm so happy at the amount of people who have written about the trans experience, about the queer experience. So like be prepared for a lot of little like beautiful little hopeful baubles of like what it means to like question yourself. Who else have we got in here? There's Jesse's on here, so I'll let Jesse let him plug his own stuff. We a lot of new playwrights on here. Michael Dare wrote a music. We have a musical. We're not going to see the whole thing, but we'll see a piece of it called Sanctuary City, which is about what happens if like a bunch of unhoused people take over an old Trump casino in the middle of Vegas.
Oh wow!
Pandemic. Oh yeah, I mean it gets wild in here. Meteorite is another. It's by Zed, playwright, also known as Lindsay Hope Simon. It's just a beautiful little piece, just like two friends stargazing and like questioning themselves in the universe. It's just one of the, sometimes like in the wave of overwhelmingness that ranges from confusing to downright terrible, which is terrible and terrifying at the same time. Like to me, like this particular group is just like, it's funny or it's thoughtful or it's sweet or it's sad for a moment, but like very satisfying sad. And I think that like, the more I read, it was kind of why we were like, you know what, let's get as many of these in here as possible. Like you need that, like that catharsis in all the different kinds of feelings. Radio Hour by Laurel Anderson is another really just beautiful, like, I don't know. It's like a really kind of paranormal love story. I mean, I'm just looking through, trying not to like scoop some of the people who are going to be talking here.
No worries. But it definitely, it sounds like we have a great roster of folks who are about to join us and present their work, which is really exciting. We do have a couple questions, which I'd love for you to answer. The first question is going to be, once it's safe to do live theater shows again, do you plan to continue Test Kitchen?
I would love to. I enjoyed doing it the first time. I think that a lot of, one of the big questions that I think that Reboot gets a lot is like, do you do new works? And
Mhm.
like, that's kind of a weird question because literally like our mission is to
Are you going to test me on this?
establish works, right?
Right.
So like, if we do a new work, is that rebooting an established work? I don't know. I mean, but we do have that like mysterious, using non-traditional casting design and methods yet to be discovered. And so I don't know. Like I personally, I would love to do it. I think that there's a way to do it in a rebootian way. And honestly, the reason why we didn't do it last year was mostly just because there's only 6 of us. And
Right.
to get together a venue and to put all this together, like it was such a stretch for us to do it the year before. And so we decided, like, you know what, we love this idea. Let's just put it on hold. But yeah, absolutely. I would love to keep doing this. I think it's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Teresa, for the question. We have another question from Sarah, which says, will the video of each night's show stay up and will donation links for those artists remain live? I can field that one if you want.
Thank you. I was like,
yeah, absolutely. So Sarah,
laid out the latter half, but I don't know about how the video part goes.
Absolutely. So we will be streaming live through StreamYard, through our Facebook page, as well as our YouTube channel. And both of those will be saved and archived there. So you'll be able to watch them at your leisure. You can also go back and watch other episodes of Reboot Represents on those channels if you'd like. But both of those will be there in perpetuity. And the links will stay live because they will be the Artist Direct Cash App / Venmo thing. So you'll be able to cash them if you were to watch the show at a later date.
Yeah, we usually keep it up. I don't know how you...
Yeah, so it should stay up there in perpetuity. We'll probably boost it a little bit just so that way folks can see it and have a chance to be able to watch it on their own time. But it's going to be a fun evening, and I'm probably about 90 minutes, would you say? 90 to about that for an evening? Yeah, so it'll be a nice quick evening to be able to get through that. That's great. Well, Jasmine, I really appreciate you. Thank you, Sarah, so much for the question, but I really appreciate you stopping by tonight and sharing your thoughts about the Test Kitchen. Tell us one more time where we can find the information about Test Kitchen and RSVPing.
Yes, please go find us on Facebook. Find Reboot Theater Company on Facebook. You can find both of the events. They're live. They're there. And then obviously you can go to our website, www.reboottheater.org.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jasmine. Have a wonderful evening. Tell the kids hi and say hi to Mike and all that other fun stuff. And we will chat soon.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks. Take care. All right. My next guest is Jen Anderson. Jen Anderson uses pronouns she, her, is a Seattle-based playwright, actor, producer, and voiceover artist. Her plays include Hands and A Series of Small Cataclysms, which the latter is currently being produced by the Shattered Glass Project. She trained at the Northwest Actors Conservatory Freehold and the University of Washington. Please welcome to the show, Jen Anderson. Hi, Jen.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I think you're on mute. I can't hear you. Oh, nope.
Nope.
Oh, no, you've just got a little bit of a internet lag, live theater, but we're good to go. So a little bit of lag there. Thanks for being here. Your piece is Kintsugi, and Kintsugi, the blurb that we asked, the elevator pitch, is an exploration of love and friendship between two people after their marriage has broken apart, which I love, and I'm excited to talk a little bit more about that. So tell me a little bit more about Kintsugi. Building upon the blurb that I just gave you, tell me more about the process itself, and you've got a minute with the producer in the elevator. Go for it.
Sure. Kintsugi actually comes from a Japanese art form, and it's an art form of putting together broken pottery pieces through gold. And it's built on the idea that embracing flaws and imperfections, actually you can create a stronger, more beautiful piece of art. So that was sort of the inspiration for this play, and taking it to human beings and relationships, and exploring can flaws, imperfection, and brokenness actually make something stronger.
That's great. So you took the inspiration necessarily from the word. Was there something in your life that made this piece kind of pop to the forefront and be like, I have to write this? Was there something that married the thought of Kintsugi with something that happened in your own life to then produce this play?
Yeah. So this goes back to 2016, which was also a banner year for most of us. And I was separated from my husband for 9 months, and this exploration really came out of that time, and and really exploring what it would be like if we didn't get back together, and if we didn't make something beautiful out of something that kind of got broken a little bit.
So you've been working on it since 2016. Was that something that you were
On.
continually working on? Yeah, I was just going to ask off and on. About when would you say that you finally got it to the point where it was ready to be performed?
You know, I deemed 2020 the year of completing things, getting things done, and I I had put this on the shelf for quite some time, and I picked it back up as part of a playwriting class at Freehold, and I hadn't had time to do playwriting classes in the last couple of years, but with everything shut down and wanting a creative outlet, I repicked that idea back up, and really that's what forced my hand to get it done.
Nothing like a little pressure to get something done, for sure. I love the idea of 2020 being the things to complete things. I have a couple of those projects that I'm going to apply that philosophy to. I will hurry since we are almost out of time, but but definitely I will apply that. How is your play going to be performed? And are you doing it yourself? Do you have a team? What has happened when you gave it over to Reboot?
You know,
what did you decide to do?
Yeah, no, this is going to be a delightful surprise for me, frankly. I handed it to Reboot with carte blanche, and I have a director assigned. I don't know, you might know him. I've
heard of him. Yes, I've heard of him.
Director, actors, and I really just let it go, which is hard for me, honestly, as a producer. But so that's part of my learning experience here, is handing a play off and seeing where it goes.
That's awesome. That's great. I will be, for those of you who did not pick up on that, I will be directing Kintsugi, which will be performing on the 12th, which I'm really excited about. And we have two actors, Doug Fall and Stacey Hart, who will be portraying the characters in the show. I'm really, really excited. I don't know if you know either of those performers.
I know Doug. I know by reputation. So that's really exciting. I'm really excited.
Yeah, and we've had a couple rehearsals, and just the humanity and the heart based off of the brief conversations that you and I had via email. I'm really excited about what they're bringing to the piece, so that's going to be fun. Jen, what do you think you're going to gain from this experience? I mean, now that you've handed over and being able to watch other people interpret and say your words and fill those beats and all those intentions, what do you think that you're going to take away and gain?
You know, this is my first sort of foray into straight realism. My two other plays, Hands and A Series of Small Cataclysms, which I co-wrote with Carolyn Wilcox, both of those are really more magical realism. And so this is my first really sort of straight play. And so I'm really curious about how my voice will sound in that realm. Also, I think Jasmine put it beautifully in terms of really thinking of this as a test kitchen to workshop this piece, because I have thought about possibly making this into a longer play, and if this will just stand alone or if there is more to be done around these two people.
That's awesome. That's great. Yeah, it definitely feels like there could be a lot more to explore. We were working on that for sure in rehearsal, and we both left and we want to know more about these people for sure. Right. Is this your first experience working with us here at Reboot Theater? I believe it is, correct?
Yeah.
What is your familiarity with Reboot?
I'm a huge Jasmine fan. I'm a fangirl with Jasmine. I know them from 12th Night, and where they directed a play that I was supposed to be an assistant director for, but I had to drop for unfortunate reasons. And then their work in 1776. And I actually know you from, I think you were in company with 12th Night. Yeah,
I was.
Yeah.
I was. Yeah.
So I think I met you briefly afterwards, and I've just been such a fan and a donor, and I am just so excited by the work that Reboot does that I felt kind of chosen by the cool kids when I had this opportunity to submit to Test Kitchen. So I'm really excited to have kind of a start of our relationship.
Well, we are really happy to have you as part of our Reboot family for sure. And I just, I have to say this now because I won't probably get a chance to say it another time, but I am a huge fan of your play. I really, really like it. And when Jasmine asked me to direct, I read through it and I said, absolutely, this is the play. I really am looking forward to diving into these characters with these actors. So thank you for writing it. Thank you so much. Where can people find you to follow more of your work?
Sure. I have a website. It's jentheanderson.com. And I have a Twitter handle that is of the same name. So JenTheAnderson. So Jen the Anderson. So you can follow me website and Twitter.
Great. And you can see that right there on the screen. We have jentheanderson.com as well as her Twitter handle, Jen the Anderson. And Kintsugi is going to be performing October 12th. So you'll want to check in and join us on that evening to be able to watch this beautiful, beautiful play. Jen, thank you so much for being with us tonight. And I'm looking forward to our paths crossing again.
Yes, me too. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thanks. My next guest is Megan Twamley, and I hope that I got that right. And Megan, please correct me if I didn't. Twamley, I think is what it is. I got a thumbs up. Great. Megan Twamley, originally from upstate New York, Megan graduated with a BA in theater technology and has acted around the Puget Sound in her 2 years of living in Seattle. Fumes is Megan's first play and certainly not her last. Please welcome to the show, Megan.
Hi, I'm so sorry. It was Twomley. I gave your thumbs up to
Twomley, not Twamley. Twomley. All right, thank you. I will go back and do that whole intro again if you want me to.
No,
so it's correct. But Megan, thank you so much for being here. All right, so we asked for a small little blurb about what your piece is, and you submitted Fumes is a piece that explores the what ifs of long-term relationships. From daily chores to sexuality, this play examines how we listen or disregard those closest to us. Wow, that sounds heavy and deep and amazing at the same time. Can you tell me a little bit more? Can you expand upon that? You've got the same elevator pitch. The producer's in there. Jen's just gotten off on the 7th floor, and you're going to write it from the 7th to the 10th. Go.
Cool. Yeah. So if there's one thing I knew before quarantine, it's that I don't know anything. And then if there's anything that I learned during quarantine, is that nobody knows anything. So we've all just been sitting around like not knowing anything. So this, it's kind of like that concept, but like put into relationships. And if you are like, I'm in this relationship and I love this person, but then your brain's like, but what if this happened? And you're like, I didn't want that thought. So it explores that, and it kind of engages with that thought rather than pushing it away, which sometimes you're kind of like trained to do.
Right. So what was your inspiration for this piece? I mean, it sounds like COVID obviously was a big inspiration, but was there something that popped and said, I have to write this piece?
Well, I've been working on it for about a year, and
Okay.
It first came with kind of moving in with my partner and then talking about domestic duties and chores, and we communicated it in a really nice and healthy way. And then I thought, what if that wasn't healthy? What if, I wasn't heard? So then exploring that option and that path that could have happened. Yeah.
And how long have you been working on the piece?
Yeah, so a little less than a year. So
Okay.
I've had like pre-COVID times. Back in that time, I had some friends over and we did like a night of short plays. So I wrote 3 short 5-minute plays. And this one, the small egg that became Fumes, was the one that I worked on more.
So would you say that in that short, you said just less than a year, in that time, and this egg that sort of became the bigger thing, was it a constant thing? Like, did you find that those characters were the ones that were speaking to you and you're like, I have to get this down? Was it more of a constant drumbeat in terms of writing, or was it an off and on situation?
Yeah, it was like a palpitated heartbeat. It was like a syncopation. I touched on it and I was like, well, let's talk about, that's my dog. Let's talk about chores. Let's talk about sexuality. What if, you're like, okay, well, like what actually is sexuality when gender means nothing? So like, who am I? What's going on? And so slowly, as I started having conversations with myself, that kind of trickled into the work.
That's great. So you've written this piece, you've handed it over to Reboot. What is going to be done with it? Are you performing it yourself? Are you reading it? Do you have a team? What's happening with it?
Yeah, so Zandy Carlson is directing it, and then we have Kahari Constantine, we have Maddie Noonan, and Chelsea Shepard playing the 3 characters. And pretty much Reboot's taking care of it. And I'm going to kind of be lurking in rehearsals, taking notes for hopefully making this a longer piece. So if they ask a cool question that I like, I'll kind of write that down, but I'll just be this like entity lurking around for
that's great. So it sounds as though you're looking for any new nuggets to be uncovered in this particular process. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Just mining.
That's great. And for those who are watching, who are going to get the benefit of being able to watch your show, and I've heard really great things when we were discussing it in our board meeting and things like that. They just, people who've read the piece were really, really in love with it. What are you hoping that the people who are watching the show will take away?
Yeah, like many plays, the characters just simply do not listen to each other in an effective way. So I hope that, we've hurt each other, not you and me, but like the royal we, and we've been hurt. And so hopefully that people will take away saying, when was the last time I hurt somebody? And when was the last time that somebody hurt me? And how can I forgive them? How can I forgive myself? And then move forward in a way that's just more gracious and kind.
That sounds like it's going to be a very powerful piece and a very powerful evening. I'm looking forward to that. What is your experience with our company? Have you been involved with us or been in any shows or worked behind the scenes or anything like that?
No, this is my first reboot touch point. I saw Sweeney Todd and it was just so lovely. And I really appreciate the work that you all do. And I think it's something that really serves the Seattle theater community and something that sets the bar for other theater communities or theater companies. I think it's great work.
Well, thank you very much. We are excited to have you as part of our Reboot family. Thank you. Thank you so much. Megan Twomley, not Twamley, Twomley.
Twomley, like a British person.
Twomley, Megan Twomley. Awesome. Megan, where can people find you to follow more of your work?
Yeah, I'm pretty popping on the Instagram. You can follow me at Megleetee, Megleetee. Other stuff.
That's great. And for those of you watching at home, you can see Megan's Instagram handle on the screen right there. It says Megleetee. And Fumes is going to be performed October 12th. We're going back in time to perform your show. October 12th is when we'll be performing your show. Megan, thank you so much for being a part of our evening. And I'm looking forward to watching your show next week.
Thank you. Excited to see everyone's work. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Have a great evening. Bye-bye. All right, joining us next, we're going to continue on this little train here to make sure that we are hearing from all these wonderful creators. Jesse Calixto will be joining us next. And Jesse Calixto, him, is a Latinx actor and musician who made a Seattle theatrical debut in Reboot's production of Private Lives in 2017. He is currently developing a mini musical called QAnon the Musical, How Ricky from Spokane Saved the World. He hopes the piece will be first entertaining and secondly shed light on the absurdity and conspiracy theory culture. Please welcome to the show, Jesse. Jesse, hello.
Hey.
Hi, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. This is so fun.
Oh, good. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm feeling good. My big struggle today was trying desperately not to finish all of Schitt's Creek final season in one sitting.
All right. And how did you do? How far did you get?
I've been really trying to parcel it out, so I only allowed myself one episode a day. But
that is some self-restraint. I really appreciate that and admire that. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Jesse, tell me a little bit about your show. So you said that this is it's a musical. This title is great. It's QAnon the Musical, How Ricky from Spokane Saved the World. All right, you're in the elevator. Mega's just gotten off on the 10th floor. You've got 10 to 14 because there is no 13th floor. Go.
So it's a musical that imagines a world where there is a QAnon enthusiast, a conspiracy theorist who decodes a QAnon meme and uses it to confront a universally beloved movie star who is throwing a dinner party at his house. And he may or may not be involved in a satanic ritual.
Oh my goodness. All right. So wow. That is a lot to unpack. So is this like a first draft? Is this a scene? Is this the entire musical?
So I actually I actually just came up with the idea for Test Kitchen.
Okay.
I saw, I kept seeing, that you all were taking submissions, and I didn't have anything. So it was really that thing of QAnon the musical sounds funny, and so that was sort of the egg. And then from that, once I got the green light, I was like, "Uh-oh, now I gotta write the thing."
Now you have to put it. Now, you have to put pen to paper. That's amazing. All right,
Yeah.
so it's going to be a snippet of whatever has come from your brain since submitting it to Test Kitchen.
Yeah, well, actually, the idea is that the whole musical will be just this. It's a mini musical. So
Okay.
when I got accepted to do it, I texted my friend who I'm going to be collaborating with on it, and I said we got the green light for this musical, and he said, "Oh, that's a little intimidating." And I said, "Well, really, if we just think of it as a 10-minute song that tells a story, it's not as scary."
Right.
And so yeah, so it'll be the whole thing. It'll be the beginning and the end.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
great. The world premiere of QAnon the musical, How Ricky from Spokane Saved the World, here on Test Kitchen. Jesse,
Yeah.
how are you performing the piece?
So because I didn't have anything prepared yet when I got the approval to do it with y'all, I didn't feel like I was in a good place to hand it over because there was nothing to hand over. So I am in the midst currently of creating the thing. I've written the book, I've written the music at this point. On Thursday, I'm meeting with my collaborator, Ed Littlefield, and we're going to begin recording it. And we're going to record it as one track. And then once the recording is done, then we're going to figure out how we're going to visually display it. It's going to be a video of some sort because the orchestration of the instruments, I wouldn't be able to do it live without having more musicians and people than I think that I have at my disposal right now in the time of COVID. So we'll pre-record it. I'm leaning towards the idea of doing puppets.
Wow.
Maybe paper cutout puppets. But I'm still kind of in the brains. So I'm very much in the thick of pulling this off. And that being said, I would be interested if there's anybody out there who is any good at videography who would be interested in hopping in on this project with us. If not, we'll figure it out. But yeah, it's not a skill I have. But
all right.
Well,
if you are a videographer out there and you want to help Jesse, you can reach out to him. We'll get to that in just a second, Jesse. In terms of how they can reach you. What do you think is the most exciting thing that you're going to be able to take away once you've performed this piece or putting it all together? What do you think is going to be the takeaway for you?
So I have always wanted to write a musical because I'm a songwriter. I've had a band for the last 20 years called Smoking Bill, and I've been playing songs for a long, long time that I've written. But I've also always been a theater nerd. And so like the idea of bringing those two worlds together is very exciting for me. And especially to work with Ed Littlefield, who I'm collaborating on this project with, who is an amazing composer and educator and just a musician in his own right. Having this to collaborate, it's that thing of just manifesting something out of nothing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Saying, you can say forever, oh, I'm going to write a musical one day, but like, if there's a deadline that you have to like meet, then you've got to do it. You know what I mean? You can't just put it off. That's Absolutely. Sort of my thinking.
Absolutely. What do you hope that people watching the show, this mini musical, are going to take away? What's the message that you want them to leave with?
First and foremost, I really hope that people get a laugh out of it. 2020 has been such a devastating and sad year. People have lost loved ones. People have lost their jobs. So many shows got canceled. So I feel like a laugh is just really important right now. I think that laughter is the best medicine, and so I hope that people get a kick out of it. That's what I really hope.
That's great, Jesse, and we all certainly could use it. We're barreling towards whatever the season finale is of this year, and who knows, it's going to be quite a wild ride. So looking forward to some laughter along the way for sure. I know that you mentioned that your debut in Seattle was with Reboot Theater's Private Lives, directed by Jasmine Joshua, and then since then you've gone on to be involved in several productions in the Seattle area. Is that true?
Yeah, I had originally I had graduated with a BFA in theater in 2005, and when I moved to Seattle, I really was focusing more on my music, and so I took 10 years off theater. And so it was New Year's Eve, and I gave myself a New Year's resolution that I was going to audition for something. So I put my resume together, and my friend did a headshot for me, and I went, and the whole thing was just to audition, to just get it out of the way, to say I did it. And fortunately, I auditioned for Jasmine, God bless them, and I ended up getting in that show, and I haven't wanted to stop since. I mean, it's that thing, you get that passion. But I'll say about Reboot, I want to say this. Little Shop of Horrors is one of the best productions. The one that you directed was one of the best shows I've seen in Seattle the whole time. The casting was amazing. The use of the space was amazing. Bringing the voice of the plant out from behind the plant and letting that just like be in the room. Just every choice made in that show. I talk about it all the time whenever I'm talking to people about like best shows. And so just the level that Reboot brings with every show is just so impressive to me. And it's just such wonderful people. So just huge love for Reboot.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Your words are very, very kind. And we are so glad that you are a part of our family. You were fantastic in Private Lives. And I'm glad that we had the opportunity for you to be there. And I'm glad that you are here about ready to present to the world QAnon the musical, How Ricky from Spokane Saved the World. It will be performed not on the first version of Test Kitchen, but in what we're calling Act 2 on October 26th. Jesse, before we wrap up, where can people find you to follow more of your work?
Well, if you're interested in hearing some of my music, you can find all of Smoking Bill's catalog on iTunes and Google Play and wherever you get your music. Other than that, if you're a videographer and you're interested in joining in on our team, I would love to chat with somebody. You can reach me at smokingbill@gmail.com.
Okay, great. And it looks like Jasmine may be networking for you on the back end. We've got your email address up there. That's smokingbill@gmail.com. If you are a videographer and want to help Jesse out, or maybe even just have some advice or some connections, feel free to email him and help be a part of QAnon the musical, How Ricky from Spokane Saved the World. Jesse, thank you so much for being a part of our evening tonight. And I'm looking forward to seeing this on October 26th.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night. All right, we're going to move along here. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We are with our next guest is going to be Pamela Carter. And Pamela Hobart Carter has 2 degrees in geology and was a teacher for more than 30 years. She writes plays, poems, fiction, and nonfiction. Her poetry chapbook, Her Imaginary Museum, comes out next month. Welcome to the show, Pamela. Hi.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, thanks for being here. Do you prefer Pam or Pamela?
I like Pam in person and Pamela on the paper, and I use Hobart when I'm writing because there's so many Pamela Carters in the world that otherwise I get mixed in with them. There's even a Pamela Carter who's a playwright who's had plays on Broadway. So,
oh wow, all right.
I'm not she,
but you are in good company. You are in good company. So, for our purposes today, would you prefer Pam or Pamela?
Pam, please.
Great. Yeah. All right, Pam, thank you so much for being here and for being a part of Reboot Represents this evening. Tell me about the project that you've submitted to Test Kitchen. Your pitch that we're going to build upon here is Pam's Cry is an invitation to grieve. That's what I have. So what I want you to do is you're on the elevator. Jesse's gotten off on the 14th floor. This is a really, really tall building. You're going to take the 15th all the way up to the 20th. Go ahead and tell us a little bit more about Cry.
we'll say after you've laughed with Jesse, then you cry with me.
So perfect segue.
Yeah, that submission with the invitation to grieve, of course, comes out of the life we're all experiencing right now. Alyssa, who's a critic, wanders into a theater that's empty, and she misses being in her prior life, and comes upon this actor who's weeping on the stage, and they end up having a conversation about how their roles are changed and how to demonstrate their emotional responses to things. Yeah, I think that's it.
All right. So it sounds like as soon as you said walks us into the theater and processing the emotions, I was like, okay, this might be a little too real from home. I know all of us as artists are struggling with that. And how do we find that identity when basically our form of communication, our form of expression has been shut down? So I'm really fascinated and excited to see, and a little trepidatious if I'm with trepidation that I'll watch your show because it might strike a little too close to home, but I am excited to see how you put that together for sure. So it sounds like possibly your inspiration may have come out of this experience in this life that we're currently in with COVID. Is that a fair statement?
It absolutely does. April was a hard month for me in other ways too. My mother died not of COVID, but she was elderly and ill, and wasn't an unexpected event. And a couple of weeks later, my father-in-law died, and he did die of complications of COVID. And it was a lot at once, and having our life as theater people upended played into it, and I was thinking about how we grieve. And in this country, I think there's so often a rush to get people to stop showing when they're upset.
Mm-hmm.
The don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. And so I'm thinking of my title actually as kind of an imperative, like cry.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
Go ahead and do it. Cry. As a release in some ways. And I've been having a conversation the last couple of days with a friend who has actually studied crying and the importance of release. And Jesse will be glad to know that other things like laughter are in there too. And I hope it's not a downer.
No, but
Chad was talking about the satisfying sadness, I was saying, like, I hope she's talking about cry.
It sounds as though you I'll reframe this question this way. So it sounds as though first of all, sorry for your losses that you experienced in April. And it sounds like from those losses came the idea for this piece that you've been able to work on. So I imagine at some point through your grieving process, you had to get to a point where you're like, instead of being in this space, I'm going to do something about it. And since that was in April, about how long after both parents passed away or grandparents passed away, did you get to the place where you felt comfortable writing?
It happened actually with plays faster than with poetry. With my poetry, I ended up creating a lot of erasures. So I'd go into someone else's text and be sort of selecting words from there and making arrangements. But somehow with plays, it just right away. And I wrote this in the spring, and I'm very excited to get to see this. I actually came here, our here's from a rehearsal and met my actors and director, and it's pretty thrilling to see the speed at which these things can shift and become something that belong to other people. That other people are saying these things that I scribbled down and making them into sound, and that Reboot is generous enough and eager and so forth to get these words out to other wares. I'm really delighted.
What do you think that you're going to, it sounds as though you're having your pieces perform with a director and actors. What do you think that you will gain from watching them say your words for the first time and putting it out there and infusing it with their characterization?
They're reading, and I had I got to hear a pair of actors read the script in the spring. This time, the thing that I'm maybe most excited about is that the actors are not going to have stage directions read. They're going to be showing everything. So before it was in the stage directions to cry, and there wasn't any, well, there may have been like a slightly wet eye, but there wasn't the actual crying. And I know it sounds weird, but like I'm looking forward I'm looking forward to the crying. And it's fascinating always for the person who's made the thing to get to hear how other people think the words go, and to see how a director sees the story. It's so informative for a writer. I'm really excited, and especially the director is Rachel Renee Arocto, and I've worked with Rachel before, and she was in 1776, by the way. I was so glad to have the opportunity to connect with someone who knew Reboot too, because I'm new to it, and here get to see where Rachel goes with this. I'm really, really curious.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. We know and we love Rachel, so it's going to be great to see what Rachel does with your text. What do you hope that the folks who are, you've touched on this a little bit, but I'm wondering if you maybe can just solidify a little bit. What do you hope that people watching the show will take away after having seen it?
I hope that they'll be feeling free to show how they're feeling, and maybe to stop themselves a little less in their emotional responses to things, and I also have some very self-referential theater stuff in it. It's true. I know it's like, yes, it can cut to the bone, but the whole discussion of the roles we play is important to me, and the idea that there's a man who's playing a child. What we're allowed to do, and I feel like it would be lovely if people came away feeling like they have the ability to pretend anything.
I love that, and that is so in line with our mission here at Reboot. Is you have the power to be whatever you want to be. I am so looking forward to seeing your piece. I'm curious. Tell us where people can find you to follow more of your work.
I have a website, playwrightpam@wordpress.com, and the other stuff, I'm glad you put it up there because I never remember. It's Pam Hobart Carter at Instagram, and it's at I'm sorry, like the Twitter is at Pamela Hobart Carter. Pam Hobart Carter, and I use all three for my Instagram.
Pamela.hobart.carter. It's all there on the screen. You can see that there. And
because I can't apparently read.
No, it's all good. It's all good. And just again to differentiate yourselves between Pam Carter, who's writing those other plays, but again, you are in great company. Pam's play Cry is going to be performed on October 12th, and we are looking forward to seeing that. Pam, thank you so much for being a part of Reboot Represents tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful evening, and we will see you soon. Take care. All right, we're going to move along here. Thanks for sticking around, friends. We are talking with the creators of several of the pieces for the Reboot's Test Kitchen 2.0, and we're going to break it up a little bit and do something different now for our next segment. I have the pleasure of introducing two guests that are going to be joining me tonight. The first is Jessica Robbins, who is a local theater nerd. Jessica splits her time and talents between scripted, improvisational, and musical theater. Roles of note include Paulette in Legally Blonde with Twelfth Night, Melpomene in A Xanadu Xanadu with Bainbridge Performing Arts, Edith Potter in The Women with Harlequin Productions, and Catherine in The Next Room, or The Vibrator Play, with Burien Actors Theater. You can catch her performing regularly at the Improv Ensemble let's try that one again. You can catch her performing regularly in the Improv Ensemble at Unexpected Productions at Pike Place Market or at your favorite local karaoke bar. Please welcome to the show Jessica Robbins. And joining Jessica will be Sarah Geiger. And you might have seen her most recent work at Jet City Improv or on Netflix's American Vandal. She is a Seattle-based actor, playwright, singer, improviser, dancer, and all-around badass. Please welcome to the show Sarah Jo Geiger. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Jessica.
Hey.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
We love you, Harry.
Oh, I love you. Thanks so much. Thanks so much. You can buy my swag at my website, harryturpin.com. There's no swag. Don't go there. All right. But I appreciate you being here.
With your dimples on it.
I should. A total face mask with my dimples. Oh my gosh, I'd make so much money. It would be great. So I'll give you a cut, Jessica. You'll get
both dollars.
Yes, exactly.
Do I get a cut because I'm a writing partner or no?
Sure. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Thank you both for being here tonight. So Jessica, you sent over a pretty great little pitch here. I'm going to read it and then I'm going to see if there's anything that either of you want to expand on this project. And the pitch that you sent over says, human nature invites us to believe in something bigger than ourselves. In ancient times, this was achieved by personifying heavenly bodies like the sun or human concerns such as fertility. Creating these spiritual beings has long helped us cope with the day-to-day realities of the human condition. But how would these spiritual beings deal with human struggles if they were unaware of their own divine presence? Buckle up, friends. You're about to see some holy shit. All right. So the name of your show is Holy Shit, and it will be performed October 12th. You both have written monologues for the show. Talk a little bit more about the inspiration about this, what the show is. Jessica, Sarah, take it away.
Yeah, so Jessica and I are friends in and outside of the theater. We're both writers, we're both improvisers, and one day I was playing Animal Crossing. Thank you, my island is 5 stars. Yes. Jess texted me and said, hey, do you want to do this 20-minute writing exercise that I just learned from a class? And I said, sure, why not? I'm literally doing nothing except for getting 5 stars my island. So I called her and she gave me this prompt, and 20 minutes later we had created new monologues that we had just written from a prompt, and then 20 minutes of writing, and that was it. And then we kept doing that, and at one point we looked at each other and we were like, oh, this is a show. We at one point, she gave me a prompt. We just sent each other pictures of mine was the Birth of Venus. Yeah, Birth of Venus. And then I think I sent you a Mother Mary Madonna picture with her and the baby, and we wrote these monologues, and it was like, oh shit, I think we have something. So that's literally how it all started. I'll let you talk, Jess.
That's amazing, Jessica.
Yes, and I said, holy shit, I agree.
So the prompt that you came up to start this, was this something you had mentioned, Sarah, that there was a class that you had done, Jessica, right? Now, the exercise itself, did the prompt come from that, or was that something that you just were sitting around thinking about one day? How did that prompt come about?
I do a lot of improv, as mentioned in my insanely long bio. And during the course of doing improv, you get bored with asking for the same old suggestions time and time again. Because if you say, hey, what's a room in your house? You're always going to get bathroom, you know? Mm. So one of my favorites is, what is your favorite adjective? What is this? What is that? So it just kind of popped into my head that this would be a good suggestion for a topic of writing. There's so much richness there. The ancient deities were based on humans, human nature itself. And so you see a lot of interpersonal struggles like a human on human relationship would have. So yeah, this is taking a big box idea and putting it into a human-sized container.
That's awesome. So I'm wondering, in the course of writing, it sounds as though you guys, it was pretty fast and furious in terms of writing it together, right? Was it literally just an email transfer back and forth? You're like, hey, I wrote this thing, read this, what do you think? How long would you say that you wrote the piece or have been working on it? And also, what was that process like for you?
Well, we wrote the first 2 monologues doing one of these writing exercises, and we started doing those right at the beginning of quarantine.
Okay.
So the 2 pieces that we came up with that had the religious influence, those were the only 2 we had when we submitted to Test Kitchen.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so we were like, oh, they agree with us. This is a show. I guess we should get working. And so the next day we did it. We did another exchange of 20 minutes, I think we did. And we wrote 2 pieces each that day. And then we wrote 4 more each during the ensuing week. And then we just took the best. And that's what we're presenting this time.
What she said.
And so how are you 2 performing the pieces? How are you going to be presenting this work?
Yes. Yes. Write your own work. Write your own work. Work.
That's awesome. And so it'll be back and forth. And how many pieces are each of you performing for the Test Kitchen?
3.
3 each.
Yes.
I want the audience to know Harry knows all these questions. He's our director. Harry's our director.
I am literally just the host. I am a humble peasant host just passing through. I know nothing at all. I have my cart of tricks out there. I don't know what I'm talking about, but no, yes. And I'm really excited about the pieces. And I have to tell you, they're really funny and they're also touching and they're heartbreaking. And like they run the whole gamut of all the things that we have felt within this COVID experience. And so I'm really excited for everybody to be able to see what you 2 are going to be able to bring to these. It's a great series. And there were so many wonderful things to be able to choose from when one of our, but one of our rehearsal sessions, we were talking about it. And Jess, you had made the decision to move from one monologue to another, and it was so easy to make that swap because they were all just such quality pieces. So it's a shame that we can't present all of them because I really wish that the whole world could see it. But next time, and it's maybe this will be the show that you take on the road and sell out in stadiums all over. It'll be great.
Cut out cardboards of like the South Park or whatever.
Oh, you totally should.
That we fill in the studios now.
Absolutely, absolutely, you should. So, since this will be the first time, and these are relatively new pieces, what is the most exciting thing about performing these pieces for you? What do you think you will gain from this experience?
This is my first time presenting anything I've written.
Wow, that's a big step.
Yeah. So that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I don't know. I was just talking about this earlier with my husband. I said something about this just feels like the inevitable turning of the page to a new chapter of wherever it is I'm going. And that's just really exciting for me.
Aww.
So
that's awesome. That's
Jess,
great.
What?
I love that.
That's really great. It's a huge step, and I want to just sit here for a moment and celebrate the fact that you're doing this, Jess, because it's a big deal to write and to create your baby and then to put it out into the world. So
this time it's written down.
Yes.
More permanent. All my other words are like toilet paper. Use once and destroy. Like that's what improv is. It doesn't go into posterity except for in the minds of the audience. This is written down. I could do this again exactly this way if I wanted to.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And I'm curious to see, you and I should just catch up afterwards. I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts are after having done that and performed your work. What about for you, Sarah?
I have written a few things that I've been fortunate enough to put on stage. I always think that I'm awful at what I do. Every performer, every human can probably jive with that vibe. But it's just really, really wonderful working off of somebody as talented as Jessica, somebody that I just love personally. Oh yes, so yeah, it's been really great to bounce ideas off of her. She's a comedian as well. I'll ask her to punch up a script, and it gets so much better. So I'm just really excited to put something that I've written that I'm like actually feeling good about before an outside source tells me it's good. Yeah, so I'm excited to do this work and to get to play with Jessica more. Yeah,
that's awesome. Now, have you 2 collaborated in the past, or is this a first-time partnership?
We did one. Oh, we shouldn't say because we did a show together.
But it should be the show that's not mentioned. Okay, we will leave it at that and we will move on. That's fine. All right. I know that both of you have worked with Reboot in the past. If you could just tell me maybe a little bit what your experience has been and what brought you back and why you wanted Reboot to present this work.
Well, I was fortunate enough to be in the cast of 1776, which was the inaugural production with Reboot. I was brand new to Seattle at the time, and so that was a really great introduction to the scene. You know, colonial drag, love it. And then I was also in Sweeney Todd last year, so
yes,
it's always. Even just auditioning for Reboot is always the most positive experience. You feel like you're stepping into a warm pool of theatrical bathwater, like it just, you're going to be supported and you're going to be taken care of. And it's like just the right temperature, it's lovely. And everybody that works with Reboot is just adorable and lovely. And I can't get enough. So that was part of the reason why we brought our work to you.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you. Sarah, what about for you?
I was cast in Cabaret, coming out TBD. It's gonna be great. It'll be great. I'll get all the choreography down by then. I'll be ready to open when we're out of here. I'm so excited to get to work with Reboot and get something out there. Same as Jess. I love this company. I love working with everyone here. I always feel supported and special. So I like it. Yeah.
Well, I am so grateful that when I was chosen to be able to helm your pieces and be able to work with both of you. I'm really excited to be able to do that. So I'm looking forward to that. And on behalf of Reboot's family, I'm just excited to have you back in the fold. I guess you are always part of our family. So thank you for being here and for doing that. That's going to be so great. I want to talk a little bit just about where people can find you to follow more of your work. Jessica, why don't you tell us where we might be able to find more information about you?
Cool. So I am on the Insta at Jessica Robbins Artist, and Robbins is spelled with one B because there was a family feud and one branch of the family broke off and dropped one of the B's, because that'll show them.
That's crazy.
Totally true story.
God, I love the Midwest.
Have they made up? Did the families ever make up?
No.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
In fact, the rift is like widened. I know
it's a gaping rift, Terry. It's a
with his family. It's a whole.
Oh, that's a whole separate episode that we can dive into that. That's amazing. Jessica Robbins Artist. It's down there 1B because of the family rift. You can see that there for her Instagram handle. And what about for you, Sarah?
It's at Sarah Geigster. That's my Instagram. Sarah without an H and Geigster. Nothing rhymes with that. There you go. It's right there.
There you go. Kevin is on top of it. Way to go, Kevin. Working his magic in the background, grabbing some of these things.
That's also my Twitter, but I just use my Twitter to yell at Mitch McConnell. So that's
all right.
Yeah.
You've got a purpose for that, and that's great. I love it. We are going to be seeing your show, and I want you both just to say the title of your show, mostly because I want to get as much of an NC-17 rating as we possibly can. So if you could just read that text at the bottom once each, that would be great. Jessica, we'll start with you.
Holy shit will be performed October 12th.
Sarah, when's your show happening?
Holy shit will be performed October 12th.
That's right, everybody. Holy shit will be performed October 12th, starring Jessica Robbins and Sarah Jo Geiger. That'll be next Monday. You want to check in and see these wonderful monologues. Thank you both for being a part of our test kitchen and for being here this evening.
Yeah.
Love you, Harry.
Thank you. Love you.
Tyler Scheiser.
Thanks. All right, we're going to continue on. I'm going to welcome my next guest, and we're trucking through this, friends. Arrhythmio Lasher is a recently dead, new alive drag thing. He is the producer and host of Recover, a cabaret by and for people with mental illness. He haunts stages from Seattle to Tokyo and is known for his emo frontman flair. Please welcome to the show, Arrhythmio. Hello, hello.
How's it going?
Good. How are you? Thanks for being here.
I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Good. It seems like you are in a less dog occupied space for now, as opposed to our tech writers.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know, Go ahead. No, I didn't mean to
Last
cut you off.
rehearsal, it was a quick turnaround, so I was at work, and I work at a kennel, so I had a lot of canine friends.
But it was awesome because despite the noise, like we got to see all of we got to see friends. So it was great. So
Yeah.
thanks for for sharing your furry friends with us. Thanks for being here and for being a part. And I want to know more about your show because it sounds really fascinating and like you were able to call from a lot of really interesting experiences to be able to put this together. The show is called Recover, a cabaret by and for people with mental illness. Tell me about the show. What is that pitch?
So that actually is a different show. That's my cabaret.
Oh, I'm
This
so
show is
sorry.
called Half a Crayon.
Thank you so much for the correction. Half a crayon. I was looking at the wrong
Yeah,
spot.
so Half a Crayon is my journey through the American mental health care system. I'm a frequent flyer at mental hospitals, and it is my monologue and drag show about that experience.
Okay. And what was your inspiration for this piece? It sounds as though you said that you have been in and out of the mental system. Was there something that said, I need to write this piece or I need to create this piece?
So I was given half a crayon at one mental hospital, and I was sitting there with my half a crayon, and I was talking to other patients, and I was like, I need to write this down. Like, people won't even believe the stuff that goes down in here. And I was just talking with other patients, and I was like, you know what? I am going to write it down. So I started writing it down in the hospital. And then when I got out, they let me have more crayons, and full crayons even. And I started writing on my laptop, and I was just like, I need to like document all this.
So how long have you been working on this piece then?
Yeah, so I started it last October, and then I finished writing it in January of this year. And then I've been doing some rewrites as I work with my director.
Okay. And so you've had a director attached to this since January?
No, the director I just got for the reboot situation.
Okay.
I'm working with Vincent Millay. He's directing me just for this.
Ah, yes, we know and love Vincent. He is part of our family here for
He's
sure.
amazing.
So Kit, tell us about Arrhythmia, tell us about the performance itself. It's going to be you, correct?
Yes, I'm playing myself. I'm playing Kit. That's my real name. My drag name's Arrhythmio. So this is Arrhythmio as Kit, and there are drag numbers and there's a monologue.
Okay, and
I'm doing all of it.
how long do you think the piece is running, like in rehearsals at this particular point?
It's about half an hour.
Oh, okay, great. About a half an hour. So that's going to be really exciting for folks to be able to tune in and see. Talk a little bit about your drag. What kind of drag, if you were to, I hate to say this, but put it in a box. If you were to put your drag in a box in any sort of way, how would you describe it to somebody?
Yeah, so I used to be a drag king, and now I'm a drag thing. I'm a monster. I say I'm recently dead, newly alive, kind of like a vampire. And I'm also an emo front man. I've got a lot of feelings.
That's great. That's great. And so will you be singing in this as well? Or is it all to recorded music?
It's all lip syncing.
That's great. Thank you so much. This is going to be exciting. And will you be performing at home or where will you be performing the piece?
Yes, I'll be performing live from this apartment.
That's amazing. I've seen some of your pieces before. You were able to perform on a little mini cabaret that I threw, and it was really exciting to kind of see what you did with the space and lighting and different things like that. So I'm really looking forward to that. While you're performing this piece, I know it's a very personal piece for you. What do you think that you're going to gain from this experience?
The best word for it is catharsis. It is so healing. I've come so far in my recovery. Like I still struggle, but reading the script and realizing like I've been sober for 37 days. I'm active in AA. I'm taking life by the reins. And I'm having this catharsis of looking at the worst part of my life and realizing how far I've come and feeling this incredible sense of transformation.
I just want to take a moment and celebrate your sobriety. Thank you for sharing that and for being so vulnerable. And we are all standing behind you and rooting for you. So thank you so much. And thank you.
Yeah, I don't use any substances at all, which is crazy for me.
That's amazing. And congratulations and continue to stay strong one day at a time. We appreciate that. And we appreciate you. Arrhythmia, for those watching, what do you hope that their takeaway is, especially being able to partake in something that is so personal?
Yeah, I want this to speak to people with mental illness. The way I describe this show is it's not a suicide note. It's the opposite of a suicide note. I want people to take away that recovery is possible, that life does get better. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of work involved. It doesn't just magically get better. but with the work, it's so worth it. And there's so many like free resources. I go to free support groups and I'm sharing some of those resources at the end of the show. And I also wanted to speak to people who are maybe thinking about going to the hospital and kind of demystify that experience.
Sounds like it's going to be a very, very cathartic experience for you, and that we as an audience are going to be able to sit in and enjoy and learn from. So I'm looking forward to seeing your piece. Half a Crayon will be performed October 26th, and you can catch that out. That's going to be in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. It's part of our Act 2 performance. Arrhythmia, tell us where people can find you to follow more of your work.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Arrhythmio, spelled like my name is listed. You can also find me, most of my drag I post on Instagram at Arrhythmia, ARRHYTHMIUHHH.
Okay. All right. We've got your Twitter handle there. I think that's what that is, or is that your Insta handle?
That's
Nope,
my
that's
Twitter.
that's your Twitter. Your Twitter's there, and I think Kevin, it might be feverishly typing maybe the other one up. If we didn't catch it, spell it to us one more time so we can go ahead and get that in there.
ARRHTHYMUHHH.
All right. Hopefully Kevin grabbed that. He can throw that there up on the screen. While he's doing that, Arrhythmia, what is your experience with Reboot Theater Company? I know that you were involved in one of our shows. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, my Seattle stage debut was playing Elliot in Private Lives, which was life-changing for me. Life-changing. It changed all my private and public lives. And then I also did your guys' telethon fundraiser that same year.
That's right. I remember. And it was your piece was very powerful. I remember sitting there and just being blown away by what you did. I really, really enjoyed what you did. I walked out and said, wow, I hadn't seen drag like that before. So it was really eye-opening for me and really touched me. So thank you for sharing your art and for being a part of that.
Absolutely. Reboot changed my life, and I'm really grateful to be performing with you guys again.
And we are grateful to have you back. Thank you so much. So the show again is Half a Crayon. It is Arrhythmio's story, and you can check that out on October 26th. And it's going to be, I'm sure, a wonderful, wonderful evening. And Arrhythmio, thank you so much for being here this evening and for sharing your story and your vulnerability and for being a part of our family here at Reboot.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Coming up next, we have Sophia Metcalf. Sophia is an actor and musician and writer currently completing their MFA in acting at the University of California, Irvine. They are a double Gemini with a Leo moon, a gender defector, and the writer and performer of the podcast Oma Ghost. Please welcome to the show, Sophia.
Hello. It's so exciting to see. I can't believe I just got to watch all of those fabulous people. I'm stunned. I'm laughing. I'm crying.
Aren't they great? They're all so amazing. And you are part of this company, and we are so excited to have you here. Thank you so much. I love your look. This is amazing. I love this. This is great.
Inspired by Jessamyn's Facebook image inadvertently.
This is so great. This is so great. I saw you hanging out in the green room, and what I couldn't tell what it was at first. I couldn't tell if it was a microphone or what was happening. And now I'm seeing it up front, and I just appreciate it so much. So tell us a little bit about your show.
Sure.
Yeah. Give us that elevator pitch. Go for it.
Sure. So Oma Ghost is basically, if you can't visit your grandma right now because of COVID, swing on by to Oma Ghost. It's a series of stories that my family has told me over the years. It's some impersonations of those people. It's also stories that other people are sharing with me about their own family legends. So it's a way of coming home when you really can't right now. I'm I'm on the West Coast and my whole family's on the East. So it kind of sprung out of homesickness for me, but it's a very funny, heartwarming jaunt through the legends of my family.
So Legends of the Family, what was the inspiration? What made you decide to write this down or to make a performance out of this?
Yeah. So in 2019, I started doing interviews with my family because basically I didn't want them to get lost. And I'm really obsessed with documentary theater. And we had been doing interview projects, and I was like, okay, let me go home. I'll just get all of this written down. And then in this past year, I've actually lost a couple of family members that I have the recordings of. So it was like, okay, we're stuck in COVID. I can't perform. This is the time to get this together. So it's a podcast, but it also we're creating a live show, especially for the Reboot Test Kitchen, which I'm very excited about.
So would that be, you mentioned that it's a podcast, and so I imagine that's an ongoing thing that you are producing. Are you culling stories from like the best of? Is it like the top 10 from this podcast that you're using to create this show?
Essentially, it's so the podcast itself is a limited series. It's only like 5 or 6 episodes.
Mhm.
We just launched it last week. For the live show, as of right now, we're workshopping it. The first draft just is being discussed amongst me and my fellow creators. But it is a monologue that I perform from my great aunt Jo, who talks like this, and she is a native Yonkers woman. So I'm doing a monologue based on some of her text, and then I have another friend who's writing a monologue that's essentially to a queer Black man as he is trying to figure out what that ancestry looks like in his life right now.
Wow, that sounds amazing. I'm fascinated and looking forward to seeing what this is going to be. So are you performing it yourself then, or do you have a team with you?
Yeah, I've got a team. So I'm performing the one monologue. My friend Fox, who's a fellow MFA actor, is performing another one. And as of right now, our sound designer is going to hop on as our medium because the whole podcast is structured as a seance. So as of right now, they will be jumping in. Ezra is their name.
That is amazing. That's great. Wow, I can't wait to see it. You just literally switched into that character like with no forethought at all, and it was just almost immediate. So I'm really excited to see what you do with that. That's going to be so much fun. Oh My Ghost will be performed October 26th, which will be part of our second series for Test Kitchen 2.0. I'm wondering, Sophia, if you can tell me what the most exciting thing about having this piece performed. What do you think you're going to gain from this experience?
I mean, honestly, just from tonight, I'm like, holy cow, the Seattle theater scene has so much to offer. Like I was supposed to come up and work at Whidbey Island this summer. So I was actually really looking forward to being up in the Northwest, and sadly, as things are. But I'm just, I feel like I've gained a lot of knowledge about the scene, and I'm so grateful to everybody who is presenting their work as part of this festival, and to get to meet you and the rest of the Reboot team.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Likewise, we're excited to have you as part of this. So how did you find us, not being here in the Seattle scene, and how did you submit your piece for consideration?
So there's a Facebook group called Trans and Gender Nonconforming Theater Artists, and Jessamine Joshua posted in there, and I was like, oh my God, this is perfect, because I needed something to kind of kick my butt into gear. So I saw their post, and I just submitted online and looked and stalked all of your guys' shows and was like, this sounds amazing.
So you know a lot about us here at Reboot. Well, we are so excited to have you as part of the show. I'm curious, for those who are watching the pieces and the monologues, what do you hope that their takeaway is?
I hope that it feels like sitting with your grandma and her telling the story of your family. I hope it feels like catharsis, like a homecoming. I hope you get some good laughs out of it, because my family is stupid funny and they all like talk over one another. And yeah, that's what I hope people get.
That's amazing. And do you have a director, or are you all sort of critiquing each other and giving notes and throughout the process?
We're all kind of working on it together. We are all colleagues here at UCI. So we are all quarantined here on campus. So we're going to be doing some workshops and looking at the script together.
All right. Where could people find you to follow more of your work?
Oh, absolutely. So my Instagram is at Sophia K Metcalf. Yeah, right there.
Right there.
Oma Ghost also has an Instagram at Oma Ghost. But that's all of the rest of my details are accessible through that Instagram handle. So if you follow me there, you follow me everywhere.
Perfect. And this will be October. I'm taking a look here at my notes. October 26th. You will be part of the final show for Test Kitchen 2.0 on that Monday, 3 weeks from now. Sophia, thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you for being you, and for showing up, and for finding us, our little company here up in Seattle. And who knows, if you love us that much, maybe you will join the Seattle scene at some point. Maybe you might, once life kind of returns to whatever the new normal might be, you might find yourself up this way or something.
The world is wide. The world is wide.
The world is absolutely wide. Thank you again for being here, for giving up your time, and for sharing your story. I'm looking forward to seeing your work in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, Harry. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night. All right, friends, we are coming close to the end of our presentation this evening. I'm excited to welcome my final guest to the show, Tom Peters. Tom is, him, is a composer and pianist from Delaware. After graduating at Ithaca College, Tom served as music director and accompanist for many musicals from Annie to Anything Goes. He created arrangements of pop songs and show tunes for the Ithaca Gay Men's Chorus and other New York State ensembles. In the summer of 2015, Tom created a group called Philomel, which performed unique arrangements of songs by female singer-songwriters. The performance ended with the live performance of Joni Mitchell's famous album, Court and Spark, which the group used choral singing, acting, and dancing to convey the story and imagery of the classic record. After leaving Ithaca in 2015, Tom began to work on his own music. He has written art songs and choral works, including a commission from NYC's West Village Chorale. Tom is excited to premiere his mini opera, The Pharaoh and His General, at the Reboot Test Kitchen. Please welcome to the show, Tom. Hi, Tom.
Hey, hi, Harry.
Hi, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. And thanks for hanging out for this entire time. I know you're the last guest, but maybe we save the best for last, right? I think that's how the saying goes. So there we go. All right. Thanks for being here. Tell us a little bit about your show. I'm going to read the pitch that you sent over, and I want you to expand on that a little bit. You say about your opera, The Pharaoh and His General is a mini opera that takes place in ancient Egypt, and the story is told by a commoner named Teti. Artifacts state that Teti witnesses the Pharaoh spend the night at the general's house, but we do not know what happens afterward. Teti asks the audience what he should do with this information. Is there anything you'd like to expand on that?
Yes. So Teti, according to the artifacts, Teti goes to the king's court and says, hey, I have some kind of problem. It doesn't really specify what kind of problem. And the king doesn't hear him out. So he decides to follow the king at night and finds him climbing up a ladder to the General Sassanet's bedroom. And so he follows the king back to the king's palace. But then that's the end of the story. There are no more artifacts to be found about the Pharaoh and his general. So at the end, Teti poses a question to the audience: what should I do with this information?
That's great. And so is this a story that is an original idea, or is this based off something?
This is actually a real story. And so the artifacts, they're real, and there's only like 3 little artifacts that they can find from ancient Egypt from the 5th dynasty.
Wow. And so is this, you call it a mini opera. So are we going to be seeing the entirety of the opera, or is this just a snippet?
Hopefully I can expand on it later, but it's going to be like a 10-minute performance.
A 10-minute piece. That's great. And how are you going to be performing this opera? Will you be performing it? Do you have directors, musicians, actors?
Yes. So I was lucky enough to get Shauna Avinger, who is an amazing, amazing opera singer. And so I had written a little bit of this piece, but once she told me that she was interested, I totally wrote it for her. She has a great high range and a great low range. And so it was great to have her as part of the team, because it really informed how I'm going to write for the voice. And then I got Emily Wallace to be a director and librettist, which is great because when I first wrote it, I was doing the libretto as well, and it was crap. And, and also the ancient Egypt artifacts, that's a lot of the libretto. But then she kind of made it work. She made the pieces fall into place.
That's awesome. So it sounds like you have a great team, and that you'll be doing now. Will you be playing the opera?
Yes, I will be playing the piano, or we will have a MIDI background playing it.
Okay. And we are getting a couple of texts off, not necessarily in the chat, but on my phone, which is blowing up, saying, this guy looks awfully familiar. Do you want to tell everybody who you might be related to that the theater scene might know?
Yes, I am related to Sam Peters. He is my twin brother.
Yes, so Sam is also a music director here in town, and when you see them side by side, you go, "Oh, yep, I totally get it," and it totally makes sense. Tom, tell us what you think the most exciting thing about having this piece performed will be, or getting a chance to present it. What do you think you're going to gain from this experience?
I think the most exciting part is definitely working with a team. usually when I compose something, I'm just like, hey, here's a poem by Sarah Teasdale. Now let me write music to it. And now, like, Shauna is helping me like write for her voice, and I have someone who I'm like writing, who's a living person that I'm actually writing a libretto with. And so it's great to like see like, hey, I like this whole teamwork thing, and I can do that again.
That's amazing. And what do you think as people are watching the show that they will take away after having seen your piece?
I'm hoping that people just become more interested in like these ancient stories about possible homosexuality and queerness, and maybe do some more research.
Yeah, Jasmine Joshua posted a comment which says, "My mouth literally fell open when I read this pitch. Secret gay lovers, ancient Egypt opera, yes, please." So there's a lot to unpack there, and it sounds incredibly fascinating. Tom, is this your first experience working with us here at Reboot?
I have just moved to Seattle, and what I knew about Reboot was my brother said like, oh, I saw a production of Sweeney Todd and it was super cool, and he showed me some pictures of the production. I was like, wow, that does look really awesome. And that's about the extent.
That's great. And it sounds like you found us through either a posting online or something like that to be able to submit your work. How did you find us?
So I found the posting through Sam and Shauna, because they both like you on Facebook. And so I was like, oh, cool, submissions. It was like, oh, wait, it's in 2 weeks. And so I did a rough draft of the opera in 2 weeks.
Wow. That's a lot. A rough draft of the opera. So when you submitted, how much of it did you really have? Like, out of 100%, how much would you say that you had completed at that particular point?
Well, at that point, I did have a 100% completed project. It wasn't ideal, but it could be performed.
Okay. That's great. You're coming in. We heard from some folks tonight who are like, yeah, I just thought about it and now I'm still writing it, which is, all of those are welcome. So I'm excited to see, how has it grown or changed since you've submitted it?
So one of the things that was troublesome was that in the artifacts, it's just like Teddy goes to the pharaoh and complains about something. And so I didn't really know what to do. And so in the original, I was just like, hey, I'm poor and famished, like, the typical bullshit. And so then the librettist, when Emily came in, we did more research of what could possibly be happening, and how and why he would want to sort of stalk the king afterwards and try to get some blackmail on him.
You had mentioned in your bio that you had created arrangements of pop songs and show tunes for the gay men's chorus and things like that. And I'm curious, in this opera, what you would classify the music as. Does it take a pop lean, a show tune lean, or is it more classic?
It is more classic, definitely. I use in like how in show tunes you use leitmotifs or an opera, I guess. And so I do use a lot of leitmotifs and repeated themes in the opera.
I'm really excited to hear your piece. And your piece is going to be performed on October 26th. The Pharaoh and His General will be performed on October 26th, which is the second test kitchen that's going to be happening for us in 3 weeks. Tom, tell us, where can people find you and to find more about your work?
I have a SoundCloud page, soundcloud.com/TJeffersonPeters.
T. Jefferson Peters, soundcloud.com/T. Jefferson Peters is what that is. And if Kevin is, there it is. Kevin is on it tonight. He's magic. I got that up there and posted for you. And you can check out Tom's work there, as well as checking out his opera, The Pharaoh and the General, which will be performed next in 3 weeks on October 26th. Thank you so much for being a part of this and for sticking around. I really, really appreciate it. And thanks for being a part of our Reboot family.
Yeah, thanks, Harry.
Thank you. And we will see you soon.
All right.
I want to thank everybody tonight for being a part of Reboot Represents. Wow, that was a long, wonderful, wonderful evening because we had so many great creators. And I know that I'm really excited and jazzed about what they're presenting. And I can't wait to see it next week on October 12th, as well as in 3 weeks for October 26th. Just a couple reminders real quick before we go. Again, the Reboot swag is up and available. You can visit reboottheater.org /swag to get a copy, to buy one of our wonderful t-shirts, which are on sale now. They'll be on sale for the next 22 days. Again, this is just a personal reminder to everybody with all of the things that are going out there. Just a reminder to go out and make sure that you are registered to vote, and then please follow through and do vote. Tonight, I want to give special thanks to all of our guests, Jasmine, Jen, Megan, Jesse, Pamela, Jessica, Sarah, Arrhythmio, Sophia, and Tom. Be sure to catch all of their work again for Reboot's Test Kitchen, October 12th and 26th. For more information, you can visit reboottheater.org. As always, an incredible amount of gratitude to Kevin Tanner for making this show work, for all of his backstage magic and typing things and putting that up there. And of course, to all of you for watching and spending your evening with us. For Reboot Represents, I am your host, Harry Turpin, and I am reminding you to trust yourself to be yourself. We'll see you next time. Thanks.